Oh yeah, it does. There it is. Okay. Share screen. There we go. All right, so this is our budget for 2021. We have budget total of $387,603.14. Kind of a lot of numbers. Some of that was because we were adjusting percentiles, and that can turn into pennies pretty quick. So the difference from what we had last year, just so you know, on the bottom line is only a $7,000 increase. Also would be helpful for you guys to know that year to date, we've already, by God's grace, brought in, I think, 375,000 for this year. So we are on track to exceed our budgeted needs for this year, and by a pretty good amount. And so the finance team felt like it was reasonable to increase our budget a little bit so that we could. They did a 2.5% cost of living increase for the staff. And just a couple of notes here to kind of tell you about. I'm just going to walk down here. Everything on utilities we're anticipating being the same. We did a 25% reduction in office expenses just due to the way COVID has changed some things. We do a lot more digitally now. We print fewer things, and so some of those expenses just went down. So we reduced that by 25%. Fees are going to remain the same. New building, putting a 1% into new building. Capital and capital improvements, maintenance are all going in there. Insurance, all that stuff's going to remain the same. So all the property fees we're leaving alone. Supplies we're leaving alone. Maintenance and services we're leaving alone. Reimbursements are the same as well. And our worship, we've left the same. Missions, we are continuing to support our missionaries. 34,000 is going out to missions, 34.5. And we also have a new line item for youth. We're going to start funding our youth ministry at 4,000 for the year. Redemption Kids went up by a little less, $450. Our membership training, our adult training has stayed the same. And yeah, our staff costs have gone up a bit just for cost of living increases. But we also raised our Redemption Kids staff salary from $8,000 a year to $12,000 a year to allow for a bigger workload, because it's a bigger workload. So that's the flyover there, as it was compared to last year, and that's what we have. So I will open it up to any questions you guys have about the budget, if there's anybody who would like to ask anything.
Do we have money in the budget for changing out the sign once we're allowed to change it from Southway?
Maggie, I have great news there. Great news. The sign is already, we already paid 50% of it up front, and it's in production right now. We've got the certificate of occupancy, and the sign is in production. It should be. I looked at my email. The sign company that we hired, they said the materials for it should be produced by this week.
Great.
And that means it can be installed in the next few weeks. So depending on where they are on their schedule. So
can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see it either. It's ridiculous that it's taken this long, but hey, bureaucracy runs a little slow. But we got it. We got the certificate of occupancy finally, and we're working on it.
Great.
Oh, I've got people in the waiting room. I'm being a bad host right now. Hang on. Admit. There we go. Okay, we got some more people that just joined us.
Question. I know previously with, we'd signed an agreement with the city that if we made any building changes, we'd have to hook up to the city water. I haven't heard anything about plans for hooking up for the city water and how that might affect our monthly utility bills. If we now have a water bill instead of the sewage, like the septic tank.
I do not know. We haven't had any of those conversations yet about hooking up to the water for the changes that we're doing right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to get
That would, I would suggest that document be reviewed just because I know we had signed something with the city for if we made any building changes that we would sign up or we would have to connect to the city water at that time.
What kind of building changes were they referring to?
I don't remember the specific. Do you remember the specifics of like when we had to hook up to the city water?
Yeah, if we added square footage, basically, like if we added onto the building.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That was it.
I think that was, so like, for example, when we were talking about putting the modular in place a few months back, Daniel.
Right, yeah.
That would have triggered connecting. So that's what the building committee was just talking about, going ahead and doing it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So we're not adding any square footage right now. So hopefully that wouldn't be triggered.
It'd just be good to find that, to review that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just an allowance to pay for the actual connection fee, which is, you know, a couple $1,000s or whatever. We'd still be responsible to pay for the pipe out to it.
Okay.
I'm sure you can.
Any questions related to this budget as it stands for 2021?
Daniel, speaking up for your missionaries as an advocate, I just want to thank you for leaving the percentage the same as last year. Very often when a church goes into a building program, the missions budget is one of the first things that's cut. And I appreciate you not cutting it as you're looking ahead. Thank you for all of the missionaries.
I'll go along with that.
That's good. A couple of our missionaries are on here, so
We're also members, but I'm not sure how we define membership anymore, but we're more than missionaries.
yeah.
But we are still missionaries.
That's
We
right.
certainly have an investment, don't we, John?
Not ownership, Kevin, not ownership.
Not ownership, and just, I didn't say that, just investment. I mostly stay out of this stuff, as you know, but I wanted to be here to encourage things tonight.
Good. Me too.
Yeah, no, we're happy we can leave things the same and really want to always have a strong commitment to support missions, not just within our church, but around the world. So I hope that number just goes up and never goes down. I don't ever want to see it go down.
Question, Daniel.
Yes, who's talking? Sorry.
Can we not, Margaret?
Oh, hey, Mark.
Can we not have a cost? Yes. Can we not have a cost of living increase for the missionaries since our budget doesn't seem to be too stretched?
That's an option I can put in front of the finance team. Yeah, I don't have I don't have any problem with suggesting that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Margaret, theoretically, if we stay at a percentage and the income of the church increases and they don't add new missionaries, then theoretically each of us also gets a small increase.
That's true.
Depending on how you calculate the numbers and play with the numbers. Just to make it easy for you, Daniel.
Thanks, brother. Okay. Anything else? I know some of y'all are more interested in what's later on the agenda than this. Okay. Well, I will. How are we doing on our schedule? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for now, and I'll go ahead and introduce. I want to tell a little bit of the story, and then I'll introduce Andrew from Metal Lab, and Kat is Kat here?
I think so.
Yeah.
Kat, let's see. Have you let her in yet?
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
I
Hey.
am, y'all. I'm
All
here. Let me turn
Good.
on my video. I got buried under my other work.
That's all
Hi,
right.
y'all.
We've got a few others. So back before, I guess it was in May or April, we had contacted Metal Lab to begin thinking through how to make some modifications to our sanctuary. One of the goals was in trying to reconnect our church from being virtual to being back in person. We knew that space was going to be an issue because capacity was going to be limited. And so one of our thoughts was, how do we get more people safely into our building? And so we started some talks about renovating, or we really revived some talks about renovating our sanctuary. And Metal Lab was suggested by Sojourn Church up in Houston. It's another church from our church planting network that had just completed a project with Metal Lab, and they did a beautiful job for them. And so we set up a meeting, and Andrew and Joe and Kat came out and looked at our property and listened to Jason and I just talk about the vision of the church as far as just we talked about the 6 C's, about creating what's beautiful and communicating what's true and caring for the broken, cleansing for the stained, connection for the isolated. And we just talked about, like, we wanted the place that God gave us to encapsulate the vision that God has put on our hearts and the mission that he's sent us on as a church. And they were really attentive and listened well, and they started sharing some drawings and some thoughts. And one of the things that we had talked about was we wanted to be careful not to take steps that we'd have to backtrack on in the future. So if we're going to take some steps to make things better, that it would fit with a larger plan, and that it wouldn't be something that we had to erase or undo somehow in the future. And so Metal Lab has been helping us imagine not just what this renovation could look like, but helping us see past it a little bit and see what could the property as a whole be transformed into if God would bless us to be able to do those things. And so the ideas they've come back with have been pretty exciting. I think they've got some new stuff to show us today. Helpful to remember, these are ideas and possibilities. These are all things that can be tweaked or changed in time. But as they say, you aim for nothing, you hit nothing, right? So we kind of want to put a vision out there and some possibilities to get us excited about what God might do through our properties. And so I think Andrew and Kat are going to walk us through sort of their ideas for the changes for the sanctuary. And just the renovations first, and then I think they're gonna step back and do what it could be leading towards in the next phase. And so Andrew, Kat, thanks for joining us, and thanks for being here. I'll leave it to you guys.
Okay. Well, thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Is Jason on as well tonight?
I don't think Jason is on here yet.
Okay.
I'm surprised. So he must have come up.
Okay. Well, Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Vrana. I'm principal of Meta Lab. My business partner is Joe Mepelink. He's been at the meetings, but he won't be joining us tonight. But we do have Kat Scott, who is our project designer on this renovation plan and the master plan that we are going to talk through tonight. Meta Lab, we've done several church projects. You mentioned Sojourn in the Heights. Was it renovation of an existing building? Was a worship space, but at one point I think it was even a gymnasium. So it has this kind of dual purpose in the past, and we renovated it and finished that last year. And then we've been doing a series of projects with Ecclesia up in the north side on Lindale campus there. And then we've also worked with them on a project that didn't get built, but it was on the east side of Houston in Edo. So we specialize in renovating structures like this. We see a diamond in the rough in many ways on many projects where many architects, I think, want to kind of tear things down and start over again, which is typical in Houston. We see a great community being built around an existing facility with landscape features that are that have a lot of potential. And so we've been talking about a kind of a two-phase process whereby we meet the immediate goals of enhancing the experience of the sanctuary, expanding some of the educational facilities and your restroom amenities in the existing envelope that you have. And we were given a budget to work within, and we came very close. I think we can go through that to develop a scope of work that, as Daniel says, we don't want to propose something that then gets ripped out in a few years. We want to think of this in terms of an aggregation of ideas and interventions that can enhance an immediate goals, but at the same time leave it open-ended so that we can build on to these things in the future. And so I'll share my screen now and walk you through the drawings. Let's see. Okay. How are we doing? Do we see what's on the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, this is this is our demolition plan. Basically, what you have right now. The sanctuary seats somewhere in 125. Is that correct, Kat?
That was our original capacity, I believe.
Yeah, original capacity. And you have your stage here, and then the baptistry and the storage in the back here, your AV booth, entry, your north is to the left here, your kitchen and the classrooms, and then your bathrooms that are not ADA compliant right now. They were, this structure was built before the ADA requirements came on, and what we want to do is do this project under what the city of Pearland calls a renovation or repair permit. It's different than a full new construction, and so it has a more limited scope in terms of what we need to get permitted. And in many cases with ADA, if you just swap out a few materials, you can grandfather things in. But we are approaching ADA compliance in some of the new bathroom facilities, and we did explore like 6 different options that were more expensive, but fully engage the accessibility requirements. We were instructed to remove the baptistry, that is no longer a desired part of your ceremonies. And
To be clear, we
Okay.
will have a portable baptistry that we will have.
Okay.
We still want to baptize people. It's just that.
Sorry about that. Yeah, yeah. It's not a bathtub.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll move that out, but we'll have a portable baptistry. We just wanted to free up that square footage for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. With the goal being to expand seating in capacity, and to just rethink the potential in this part, the focal point of your sanctuary. So this is the plan for the renovation that we can shift to now. We've increased seating capacity to 164 seats, and we've pulled the, as you see, we've demolished the back of the stage here, and we've added a window that we'll see in elevation here, a large window that has a pull down screen, like, so it becomes a blackout shade, but at the same time you can use that as a projection screen or just for blackout purposes. You still have some storage back here, and we've angled the walls here, which is a reflection of what's happening in your ceiling, your vaulted ceiling here. We thought that would be an interesting feature to kind of find a way to create that sort of repercussions of the ceiling into a wall system. So the stage doesn't get necessarily smaller, it just pulls back, and we gain some seats here in the front. We're mirroring this as well in the back, and once we get to the master plan, we'll show you kind of why we did that. But you get a deeper entry here. We're not showing a door currently, Daniel, but we probably want to talk with you about what sort of door would we want to introduce at this point to, as you have right now, to separate the activities in the hallway from the sanctuary. We still have an AV booth here, but it's kind of it's like a niche in the wall, and we kept your existing windows here, but we'll show you that we've added some wood trim to those as well. The other area we've focused on with interior features is the entrance foyer here. We've added bench seating, some window treatment, and then some wall treatment that is similar to what we're doing in the sanctuary. In the corridor itself has not changed. Your kitchen is still here. We don't have the pass through anymore going into the sanctuary. The bathrooms, what we want to do here is to try to maintain plumbing locations as much as possible where they are. So as you can see, we kept the lavatories in the same locations, the sinks in a similar location, but we removed the little storage niches here, and we're able to gain a couple more sinks here. But these are not ADA compliant bathrooms, but what we did do is add one family bathroom that is ADA compliant. So that is one way to approach that requirement. ADA requirements are it's an owner, there's a review process while we go through the plan review and during construction, and you have inspections. And at the end of the project, you get a recommendation on what you need to do to make your plans fully compliant and the renovation. Whether or not you do that is up to you, but it's a matter of then the liability that the owner carries toward in the going forward on whether or not you're providing for your community and with accessibility needs. But the family bathroom is ADA compliant. The classrooms, we expanded changed the configuration of these rooms when we added the family bathroom. So infant room gets a little larger. We're talking about adding some storage and then removing a wall here between these two classrooms to make a larger classroom here. But other than that, it's similar. layout to what you have. Exterior work, we're looking at painting your brick on the exterior, and then some new lighting fixtures on the exterior, but very little work on the outside, not a new roof, and we'll explain again why we're choosing to defer that as well. Before I move on, are there any questions about the plan?
I have a question if we're still considering serving meals in the main auditorium area.
The kitchen is, we're not moving any appliances. We just don't have the pass through, but you can obviously go through the main doors if you wanted to serve meals in the sanctuary with the seats reconfigured. But
what is the purpose of removing the pass through, since that was so useful?
That was a recommendation from your pastors. They said it was not used very much, and we think it doesn't, lessens the sequestering of the sanctuary to have that opening. I know there's an accordion door there, but I think we're trying to do is create a more insular, once the doors are shut or whatever we're going to do here at the entrance, you're in the sanctuary and you're not really being impacted by other activities there. Obviously it could return, but we bought some storage space here by removing the pass through. So storage is a premium too. We want to maximize that possibility.
That makes sense. The pass through is only useful when we're serving meals.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
The entrance to the kitchen could be rethought. Door could be moved over necessary. Like we don't. It looks like it's a cased opening right now anyway. So we see that there's enough connection here to be able to move the catered items into the sanctuary.
Daniel, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The 2 classrooms next to the kitchen, is that a permanent wall there, or is that one that can fold back and be made into a very large room if necessary?
That's still the permanent wall, Maggie.
Okay.
So we removed a wall here. I don't know if you can't see my house probably. Yeah. So
this wall here was removed.
Okay. I was just wondering if that was permanently removed or if that was like one of those sliding doors in the ballrooms at the hotels,
Right. No, that's permanently removed, but we do have a movable wall segment that actually Covenant had from before. And so we have that. It's actually sitting in my office right now. But if we ever needed to break that room back into 2, we could do that in a non-permanent way.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We looked into the kind of folding wall accordion, and they're not cheap. They're probably more expensive than a regular partition wall with studs and drywall. It's a specialty. Kinetic things that move or, prone to failure. So you got to get something that is good quality. And I forgot what the number was, but it was removed from the budget as a cost value engineering.
It was a little bit more than we wanted to spend.
Yeah.
Jeff, I see your hands up, or Sarah Beth. I don't know which Morris I got.
Yeah, so on that east wall, or in that east classroom, the new larger one, it looks like there's 2 openings to it. There's 2 doors. Is that right? Am I reading that picture right?
Yes.
That's a vestige of what you have now. I think the door, we kept the door. It costs money to move a door or remove it, even because you got to patch and paint and everything. So if you don't need to move a door, leave it there.
It's just from somebody who's been working in children's ministry, leaving extra doors in there just makes less usable walls. And so just throwing that out there from somebody in children's ministry.
Okay.
It would be nice to see what the cost would be on just having one door to the room and not having two. Because like in the nursery previously, we'd had two doors and like an extra door, and that made the room less useful of having, you can't use that chunk of the wall to put furniture or tables or for things like that storage. Just from a children's perspective, throwing that feedback out for that room of leaving two doors. And then I'm looking at the west side where there's the rooms for the nursery changes, and there's a horizontal line going north to south, and I'm confused. I'm not sure what that is. Could you help me understand that picture?
Right
That
through
line
here.
right there.
That's a dimension line.
Okay,
Yeah, that we could have turned off the dimensions, but we left them on just so you know kind of relative sizes of things.
okay.
It's
And
not
so
under control.
below the new family bathroom, that's the storage space below the bathroom
Below the
on the
bathroom,
west side?
right here. Can you see my
Yes.
cursor?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of the room becomes sort of L-shaped, and you could have an infant cribs here. We didn't really lay out the cribs. We want to get a sheet size, you know, what those would be. But we have some freestanding storage here on the end for.
Okay, so the storage is just those 3 cubes there on
Yes.
the left?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
freestanding wall unit.
Okay.
We're looking at, rather than built-in storage, which costs more than just like a off the you know, something that's mass produced, IKEA, etc. Yeah.
Okay. And I noticed that there's between the far, I'm trying to think directions here, southeast room, there's
Mhm.
is currently a door separating that wall.
What room
The
number?
southwest, the southeast room, the southeast classroom.
13.
There is currently a door on that dividing wall that I don't see reflective on there. Is that door going away? There,
That door,
Yes.
between the toddler and infant.
Mhm.
Yes, I think that door would go away or be moved elsewhere.
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering because it was on the original current sketch of
Yeah.
how the building is, and then I didn't
Very-
see it on the later one.
Very observant. Yes, I don't think, I think we wanted to have separation between infant room and classroom 9 here.
Okay.
And Andrew, that might be a vestige of when we were thinking of storage where classroom 9 is. So
Okay.
if we wanted to add if we wanted to keep that door where it exists, we could do that, or if we want to
Yeah.
move
Just
it,
from
it's a possibility.
somebody working in kids, again, just I would request that door be left for
Okay.
the time being.
Mhm.
Just because that could be sheetrock back over later, but that's been really useful for teachers to be able to have to have extra supervision if somebody needs to step out, to be able to have teachers in the other room look in and help out each other. And so
Okay.
just throwing that out there, that would be a request, at least for me in the children's
Good.
department, to
So
leave
from
that
a
door.
cost-
That's good. Sean, I saw your hand up. Oh, sorry, Jeff. Did you?
Yeah, from a cost perspective, that works out about the same to like leave that door and to cover over the one across the hall instead, right?
There you go. It's a wash.
Those are just 2 specific things that I've noticed that just wanted to ask about. That's all.
Okay.
Sean? Did you still have a question, Sean? Or Eileen? I'm not sure.
You were on my speakers, so I couldn't speak to you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So 2 questions. One is the window that we're putting in along the back of the sanctuary. How high up is that going to be? Because, you know, we have break-ins every now and then. That's why I've got the bars on the other windows.
I see. Okay, I'm gonna go now to an interior elevation. It is We have, how high is the stage? It's like 14 inches.
Yeah,
So
it's not that tall.
14, so that's plus 2.6. So that's about 3.5 feet. So your other windows are lower. Here's the sill height of your current windows here.
Okay. I just know I didn't want people to be able to look straight in and see all of our camera and computer equipment and all that. Instruments
Well,
on the stage.
okay. I think your current windows are frosted, right?
Yeah.
So that prevent that. I didn't know that was to not see in. I thought that was maybe to just to diffuse the vision.
It's both.
Uh-huh. Well, we did see this as a clear glass. You have some nice trees here. So our goal here, and like on many of our projects, we find that the best way to have expansive spaces and is to be able to see through a project. So if you're standing down here and these doors are open, you could look through and see through your entire building to the north. And northern exposure is very good for the right kind of light that you would have coming through here. You do have the retractable screen here, the embedded projection screen. So at night you could lower the screen, and that would prevent people from being able to see in. So the screen, the projection screen would have double duty in that case.
Okay. My other question was, you said we would have bench seating out in the entryway.
Yes.
Do you mean like built into the wall or like just sitting on the floor?
It would be kind of built into the wall. It would be. Sorry, I'm going through. I'm giving away all our images here, going the wrong way. It would be flush to the wall, 2 feet deep, and would have cushions on it. And let me see if I can find the elevation here. Here you see a section through the entrance here, and so we're showing it kind of a floating surface here with bench seating on it. There would probably be, obviously, there would be some legs, or we could do kind of boxes beneath so that you could have some storage perhaps. Or just open on the bottom where you could clean out from underneath. We haven't kind of fully detailed that yet, but that was, here you can see the window seats at 1 foot 2 inches off the floor, so that the cushion is still below your sill.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I think I've got some, but Andrew, you hinted that there would be some more information coming on. You said you were going to talk about the master plan.
Right, the phase 2, yes.
Okay, so I think I'm going to hold my questions until
Okay.
I know a little bit more, and then maybe ask later.
Okay, I just want to walk you through the rest of the elevations. Here you see the back wall of the sanctuary, and these vertical lines here, these are 1 by 1 or 1.5 by 1.5 wood slats at 6 inches on center. That we call this a kind of, it's called board and batten, where you have these boards are running, or so these battens that cover the joints of a material that's behind it. And the material we were thinking behind it would be conventional carpet tiles, which are inexpensive and come in many colors and patterns, that would be behind the boards. And so the boards would cover the seams of the carpet. So you wouldn't know they were carpet tiles unless you were kind of privy to that information. And so that's an acoustic surface that absorbs sound very, very efficiently. And that way we're leaving the ceiling as it is. We're just going to paint the ceiling with new lighting and some air conditioning ducts that are new registers in the ceiling. The floor, we're going to do another kind of carpet tile. The stage would be painted wood or with on the front, and then carpet on the top of the stage. Here you see the cross elevation where we're taking your existing windows and framing them out, and here you see the section through the window. We do have to make an incision in your brick wall here. We would add a lintel, and so you really you don't see the brick when you're looking inside. You just get a sense of this wood volume that punches through and actually sticks out beyond the surface of the back wall in a slight bit here. And then we are repeating that on the back wall too. Here's the passage into the sanctuary. Here's the framed opening for the alcove for the AV cabinet, and the doors are the storage are hidden, concealed by the board and batten system. And then going down to your foyer, we're repeating that on the back wall of the front wall. When you walk in the foyer, you see this board and batten system. So that prepares you and kind of sets up the scenario for what you see inside the sanctuary. So those are your elevations of the interior. And so all this has been priced by the contractor, Jason Long. And so everything in here is in the current scope of the project as we've priced and designed it. And all of this falls within renovation, repair type work that from the city's point of view. The point there being is that we're not triggering the need for, the planning department to look at your civil, your drainage, things like that, and the parking especially, even though you do have ample parking. Okay, any questions about the elevations? Okay, I'll move into phase 2, what we're calling the master plan. Daniel and Jason, when we first began talking, they didn't ask us to do a master plan. We kind of talked them into it, if you will. It's an effort that has been initiated. We have a few more hours to put into it, but we think it's a very great opportunity to, while we're looking at the renovation, the phase 1 work, is to consider phase 2. And so what are we doing in phase 1 that could anticipate and plan for and not paint you in a corner that you're doing something now that could be they could box you in the future. So that's kind of the goal of the master plan, is to look ahead so that what we're doing currently is within reason and relevant in the future. So here, this is just your aerial view of your site with your existing plans overlaid here of what this is your existing sanctuary and your ancillary structure here, your kind of temporary / permanent building. But when we arrived, what we noticed was you do have a lot of green space in the front here and these 2 parking lots. But once we entered this space, your inner sanctum, your landscape, we really fell in love with what your amenities are here, your beautiful landscape. And again, the fact that this space is north is so wonderful, especially today. I went out there today and met Daniel and took some pictures of this wonderful December day that we get once a year or whatever. The sky was clear and the light was just wonderful. And framing these trees is such a great opportunity. So that's kind of where the master plan sprung from. And then on the interior development of the spaces, we began to develop a sanctuary that would hold more seats. And then that would also trigger a larger requirement for your educational facilities, as well as your admin and your community center, your fellowship spaces, all becoming part of this growth. And so I'll go into the master plan here. We have color coded this for assembly, classrooms, admin storage, and circulation for the interior spaces here. So what we're envisioning here, and when I mentioned the angled walls inside the sanctuary, well, that anticipates what we want to do with the sanctuary, which is to flip it 90 degrees and orient it in the other direction here. That wall where the window then becomes is answered by a side entrance here, and when you enter, you still see through your sanctuary, but it's no longer the backstop for it. It's the side view, and so these angled walls then become extensions of new walls that would punch through, and you would then have egress here. You have a larger egress, so we have two means of egress or actually three means here going out here. When you have a larger seating capacity, we're at 274 seats here. You still have a large stage, and then you get small windows that open out onto your landscape here. So all that is, but everything from here, inside here, is being built now, and this is the new part here. And the reason why we're not doing a new roof now is that we would rethink the roof line of the sanctuary and then do a new roof at that point. We would probably leave the roof line over this section here. So what you see here are the same bathrooms you have now, the same classroom configurations, and then we're adding the foyer is the same, and then we're adding an extension here to provide a large entry into the sanctuary, and then we have a mechanical space out here. What is gray here is covered walkway, so it's not interior, but it's covered. Yes. Is there a question?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. And then on the other side, on the east side, is a new facility that is enhancing the fellowship program here with this space here that has some admin spaces for your leadership in kind of connected to the fellowship, so that you could even see the fellowship having tables and maybe expanded usage of different programs that are related to the admin here, but the admin, they can close the door and be separate from that. And then we have toilets, another kitchen here that would, because you lost your kitchen here, that's what I forgot to mention. We're punching through, the kitchen goes away, and you get a new kitchen here. And then we have classrooms, adult classrooms, and then we begin to specify all the age groups here. So I can zoom in and a little bit here. And we have the infants here, the young children, and then we have the adolescents, the teenagers, and the young adults, and the adult classes here. And what we're showing is a green wall that is framing this whole kind of space here. So the green wall is an addition, like a rain screen to your brick wall here that would extend out. It's a landscape feature that conceals and reveals the activity in the walkway here, and then also exists on the new facility here. So what we envision is sort of a taking the horizontal, the landscape here, and kind of folding it up into the architecture, so that we're not necessarily going to change the character and the of the buildings. This new facility could be a somewhat utilitarian structure. Could have a pitched roof, not unlike what you have here. And then, but I think with the green wall, we're looking at something that is really kind of concealing and revealing different aspects of the architecture. And what I mentioned before is where we like to see through spaces, so that you get, again, like I said, when you enter the building, your existing building down here, you can see through things if the doors open all the way out this way. Well, you get the same thing here. When you enter the foyer, you can see through glass here. We might need to move the green wall here, but you can see through, and then it aligns with glass and openings over on this side. So you'll be able to kind of see through the entire project to create this enhancement of expanding the space. So what we feel is this takes, small spaces, modest spaces, and really amplifies them with visual corridors and things like that. So I just wanted to show you a couple more images, and then we can go to questions on the master plan here. Let me maximize this. I went out there today, like I said, and like this is the space we're talking about, framing these beautiful trees here. The new sanctuary would emerge from this volume here and extend into the green space here. And then the new wing would it's kind of it's at an angle, so you kind of get this open U shape that this corridor or this open covered walkway here visually connects with your amphitheater out here and connects to it with the walkway. So that's one reason we open this up, but it also is a way to kind of recognize some of the different angles that we're introducing here, and just allows all this greenery of your trees to be pulled into that space there. And when I say green wall, there's a lot of examples, contemporary architecture. These are much more kind of intimate scaled, but you might have instances where you might have kind of spaces that are a little more manicured. And then other green walls could be much more generic, like a welded wire mesh on steel columns. And you put fig ivy or star jasmine, something that does really well in our climate, irrigate it and then let it go, and then you come by and kind of give it a haircut with your weed whackers, But we feel that an architecture that comes from the landscape and then becomes a vertical surface is an interesting approach, rather than trying to introduce a new style, or we can just kind of work with what is there, paint the brick you have, use more brick, but we may not need to use brick in all instances. If we do have a kind of green wall, a rain screen, we could use something more doesn't cost as much, So we haven't really got to that point yet. The master plan doesn't really get to that level of detail. Our master plan effort here will kind of take this sort of drawing. We'll do a similar drawing that is with color coding and quantifies your current program, so you can compare where you are now and where you will be in the future in terms of space planning, in terms of quantities of space. And once you have quantities of space, we can begin to assign multipliers and work with our contractor to develop a budget for what the master plan might cost. And we kind of leave it there. We maybe do a 3D model, some kind of rendering views, because we want to visualize this, but that's kind of where the master plan would go. I forgot to mention the site features, the site changes to the site that would be brought on here. Your existing parking lot is here. We would extend the driveway through. You have an easement here. We can drive on it, but we can't build in it. But we have put a half court basketball court down here at the end, and I think this is our dumpster down here, and we also put a a driveway that connects your two parking lots, because you have a one-way feeder road as your entrance, as your right of way out here. If you overshoot this parking lot, or and then you came over here and this parking lot was full, you would have to go all the way around back to the Beltway 8 or something, and then come back. You know, it would take 10 minutes off your arrival time. So you have plenty of space here to introduce a two-way driveway. You do lose a few parking spaces, but you would gain, you could probably gain them elsewhere with a different layout, or just, you know, sacrifice a few spots for convenience. So, Kat, did I miss anything in the master plan that we wanted to talk about?
The only thing, and probably because the line weights are showing up a little light, is the path through the back, tree growth along the back.
Yeah, back
And
here.
that we've kind of planned some decomposed granite pathways through the site.
Okay. It looks like it extends back here too. So like the back of the fellowship space would have some improved pathways and stuff. So yeah, like you have these, we would have to this beautiful forest here could be cleared a little bit, bring the bigger trees out of the undergrowth, and make this kind of a space, put some lighting back there so that we're not having you know, people coming in and approaching the building from the backside and doing, you know, nefarious things. So we can improve that as well. Okay. Thank you, Kat. So any questions about the master plan here?
I don't know what they're doing in this parking lot access.
Are you there, Maggie?
I'm here. We lost connection, Daniel. Now we're just back, so I
Okay.
apologize. But I was trying to figure out the two parking lots and if anything was being done, and you may have discussed that while we were reconnecting, so I apologize.
He was just mentioning that they're talking about connecting the two parking lots with a driveway, since if you happen to miss the first driveway and the second parking lot was full, you'd have to, you know, you have to go all the way around on the Beltway, you know, and so the idea would be to increase some convenience by adding that there, but that's what that was about.
Daniel, I know that this is, you know, things that we're looking at for futures, and I like the covered walkway between the two buildings. Right? But we don't have any covered walkway for people that are coming in from the parking lot. And so if it's raining or anything like that, we have nothing to, have we talked about that or looked at anything that way?
We haven't, but I'm not opposed to it at all. That could be, I mean, it's sort of, that's the sort of thing that at that point we might say, hey, while we're at it, let's do that as well. So definitely open to that.
Thanks.
In the master plan, I love the green wall idea and making use of the trees and the landscaping. That's something that I just think is very, it's a very positive thing. I just wanted to throw that in.
Thank you.
And I have a comment as well. This is the first time I've seen this. Kat and Andrew, I'm really impressed with how you rethought the sanctuary. I mean, because that's always been kind of the big, how do you make this space workable given this building, and how you reimagine that? I just have to say that's really impressive. So both of you can pat yourselves on the back for that.
And Joe Mepelink, who's not with us,
and Joe.
Well,
he's not here, so he loses out.
He took the space and rotated it 90 degrees, and everything kind of followed from that. It's pretty amazing. We're very happy with it. We think could be this courtyard here could be one of the nicest spaces in Houston. And you know, we go to St. Thomas and the Manil and all those places inside the loop, and you've got it here. It's really, you know, special, and you've got some great trees here, and you could just like spend a little more money and, trim them up and maybe plant a couple more and just really make this a beautiful place.
How about some kind of water feature, Andrew?
Sure. I mean, I think the water features are a maintenance, and we do a lot of public art projects as well. And we always kind of, we don't shy away from water features, but they really are a maintenance.
Okay, that's good to know.
And your amphitheater here would be a good location for enhancing that. But the thing is, you don't want to start the amphitheater as it is kind of a berm. The minute you start designating seating and things like that, you have to provide ADA access, and then it triggers all kind of cost and things that don't look great, So, we didn't think of water. We thought more of the greenery, and of course, with greenery comes irrigation. So there would be water here. This wouldn't be a feature, more of a infrastructural support. But let's think about that.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Andrew, one of the other things that I think we had talked about, which we didn't mention, was the reality of that there's going to be a wall coming off of the church and past the parking lot on the north. That would block in that whole area.
Right. I don't know what the height of that wall would be.
I think it's like 8 foot was something we were talking
Okay,
about.
yeah, it's your typical sort of 8 foot. I don't, if it's a block or a block wall that has greenery on it, or wood, I think that would be. We did see it. We don't have our green line on it, but I think it was part of the green vertical surfaces that are green, and it would kind of, create a transition from the paved area to your green space. A pretty nice one. Yeah.
Andrew, in some of our previous master planning, there was a concern by the parents of children that they wanted the classrooms closer to the main building rather than being as far back as they are now. I'm curious how Sarah Beth feels about the attitude of our current parents.
For the young children in this area.
That and also other children that might be involved in the other classrooms.
Oh, over here. So your concern is separating the classroom. I mean, I guess we thought the younger children would be in the, closer to the parking lot, closer to the main activity here. And I mean, we're really splitting it in order to, not end up with a very large building. We're trying to create a kind of a separation of the, between the young children and the older ones. You still have that admin spaces over here, but I think by pulling these things apart, it really activates the walkway, and makes it a process to access the two wings, and enhances that experience of the landscape.
Yeah, and John, I know, and I'll let Sarah Beth speak to this too, but I know that before COVID, of course, everything's changed since March, but before COVID, we have the kids doing Sunday school classes out there in Annex B and C. Well, B. We have the older elementary kids and the junior high kids were in Annex B. And so we've already have some kids out there, but I think the goal was to have the younger classes closer to the parents. But let me see. I've got a couple of hands raised. I'm gonna see who that is. So we'll go with Sarah Beth first.
Yeah, so it was actually me this time.
Oh,
We're popcorning on you.
Up.
I guess a couple of things you were kind of talking about the parents' perspective there. I guess one question, thinking as a parent of kids of a spectrum of ages. I'm fine with having the younger kids and the older kids separated. But just thinking from a security perspective, one issue that we had encountered before on the building committee was having kids separated out so far from the main building. Is a little bit of a consideration there. It also brings weather into play. I mean, you've got a green wall, but it's still, end of the day, you know, it's still a long walkway out to an outbuilding.
I still have my preschoolers in the main building, but my kindergartners on the other side of the property.
And our
we're
11-year-old might be.
and my second grader and my middle schooler as well are on the other side of the property. And most of our family's wet by the time I get them to their class. But while my nursery kid is still dry in the main building, 4 of the 6 of us are wet. And covered walkways only do so much. And so as a family perspective, I am not a fan of having the new building so far away from the main building. I'll just officially say that, just be blunt.
That's good. Well, thanks for the feedback.
I also had a question about the wall you mentioned on the northern side of the property there. You mentioned it was kind of a separation from the, you know, between the parking lot and the green space. I was a little surprised when you indicated the height. Is there some like city ordinance or anything that's driving that wall, or was it just more conceived as an aesthetic thing?
It was more of an aesthetic reaction to creating a separation between your paved area and your landscape, kind of take the building and extension of the building.
Okay.
So just as parent perspective, I would request consideration of the new building being considered just pivoting it. So it's more like east-west as opposed to the angle. So that way it could be closer to the main building. So it would be a much shorter pathway between the main building and the new building.
So an L instead of 2 legs of a U, in other words.
That would just be a parent's perspective of requesting that consideration. So,
Yeah, we can
and just
definitely.
put shrubbery north-south on the far east side of the property and still create a pavilion green area, but use the buildings to make an L instead of U. So parents aren't getting wet.
Yeah, we can't build in this area here. So then
Yeah, no, I
in
recognize the
here.
building would have to be like where the current walkway is,
Right.
and over where the septic is. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't want to have to change the septic either, so that would have to go.
Well, I mean, the septic would have to go away if a new building was getting added regardless.
True, yeah. So
That would be a
yeah,
requirement.
we would have to rethink that. I mean, yeah, you could begin to kind of just reorient this closer.
Yeah, because if there's a new building, septic has to get removed regardless. So.
Andrew, I appreciate you giving us the master plan so we can have this conversation. It's really good to look this far ahead. But I know this is way past the renovations we're talking about immediately. It needs to be done now.
Right. Yeah, and that's something to consider. Is what we're looking at is, you know, 3 years, you know, 5 years, 7 years down the road. You know, like these are what we want us. What the reason I wanted them to share these things with us is to help us to feel the reality that when we do this renovation, we're just taking one step towards something. You know what I mean? And that thing that we're taking steps towards, it doesn't have to look identical to what's on the screen here. We're going to be talking about this, and we're going to have our new building team all over this, and we're going to be kind of just making sure that this is exactly what we need. But I want us to always feel as a church that we're moving towards towards some things that will help us to more faithfully accomplish the mission that God's given us. And so this is you know, our first shot at what that might look like. And I think it's got some really beautiful, man. I love the ideas that are informing all of this this plan. And so as you see things and have thoughts, this isn't your only chance to speak into this process. And I want you guys to know that we've got time to really nail everything down. But I really do hope you can kind of feel a sense of, oh, we're not just doing a renovation. We're trying to connect ourselves to a plan and a vision for the future.
Good.
Yeah. How are we on time? So, is there? I guess
I have, just real quick, Andrew, could you pull out to the full view? My wife just walked in. I just want to give her the big overview dream shot. So thank you.
Sean, you had your hand up, and I'm sorry I didn't get to you earlier.
Yeah, I was just looking at the master plan. I just wanted to throw out the reminder that where we've got the driveway connecting the two parking lots and a lot of the places that we've got, I guess it's the granite walkways in the back are places that flood pretty regularly whenever we have a major storm. So that just needs to be considered in like overall durability and stuff. And even worse whenever we get a hurricane.
Yeah.
I thought about that as Kevin was asking about, water features. I was like, man, this is South Houston. We're gonna have water features.
Yeah, that's
whether you invite them or not.
Whether you want one or not, it's coming.
That's right.
Yeah, but maybe look at like some of the pictures from Harvey and see. I mean, like our entire front and backyards up to the doors of the current building were about 3 to 4 feet underwater. So.
Yeah. I think when we do any of this kind of work, we're going to have to do a lot of dirt work to our property. I think that's the reality. So we're going to have to elevate a lot of our property, and that'll be an unavoidable expense whenever we do decide and we do have the resources to do these kinds of things. We'll have to deal with that.
Yeah, because that backyard's just one big bowl, basically.
Yeah. Had a couple more hands go up. Marcus Kurt.
It's actually me, but we just wanted to be another voice in the conversation, but like provide encouragement. The church that we attended in East Texas had an expansive network of buildings all connected by covered walkways. And I worked in the children's church, and the kids never arrived wet, and it would pour. And so I think a well-designed walkway provides way more coverage than just like, I don't know, a little simple easement or something does. And the walkways that and how broad, they were pretty wide. I don't know how wide these walkways are supposed to be, but they were like 6-7 feet. They were wide.
They're probably 10 or 12 feet wide.
Even bigger. And so if it could be literally raining sideways and you could still walk like 4 to 5 people wide and everyone stayed dry, and that was without an ivy wall siding, which I think is a really pretty and neat design, which would also provide more coverage. So not to say that, turning the buildings is totally an option too, but just to say that like, a well-designed walkway keeps you drier than,
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. Any other thoughts from you guys?
From us? No.
Okay. All right. And then I had Morris. Is that your hand still up, or is that from earlier?
Sorry, I just didn't do it. I needed to fix that. Sorry.
That's okay. Stephen, you want to know how to raise your hand, but you can just say raise hands. Did you have a question, Stephen?
Yeah. And it's more than just how do I raise my hand. I tried for like 5 minutes while half listening to y'all try to raise my hand. I couldn't do it. So God help me. So a lot of my the questions from the beginning were answered by kind of seeing this master plan. I have growing concern about storage and whether our temporary storage solutions kind of at the end of that first parking lot there would remain in place, or would we do something else to kind of have a more permanent solution to storage. A second thought is, Daniel, you've talked a lot about like a pipe dream of an outdoor kind of auditorium, not auditorium place, but to do outdoor either musical things or just gatherings or movie showings, whatever. And that would require power and stuff like that. And so that's more master plan stuff, we just need to think about power placement. We have a lot up in the front lawn on those posts. And it kind of breaks my heart to see that big old lawn cut up with the driveway, but I totally understand why. I wish that we could build like a tunnel and you just drive underneath the lawn. That way the grass could still be intact.
That'd be
I'll pray for the funds for that. I'm sure that won't be a water trap at all. But probably the most practical things is a concern about storage. And I see that there's that new little wing that is added to the southeast corner of the sanctuary room. That, and then the back of stage texture that you were talking about, where you have like the 1x1s or the 1x2s that are just kind of lining 6 inches on center over a carpeted wall. That seems like a very permanent installation, where if we were wanting to get creative about how we're going to reflect Easter or Advent, or we're going through Romans, so we want this color palette to kind of just wash all over. If we're going to get creative with the space, that seems like a not very self-healing or healable wall treatment. Like if you bang up sheetrock, you can always patch it back up. Or if we were, I know we have the wood there, but we have like the room in between the slats to hang stuff on, or I don't know. Like, I guess there's two parts to that. One, like you had the examples of the green wall to kind of show us like, hey, this is what that would look like. It would be awesome to see something like that with the carpeted. I guess it wouldn't be one rolled piece of carpet. You'd use like the little squares, the 2x2 squares, possibly as like a mosaic. That's how I imagine it anyways, but it'd be good to see some clarification on that. And then what the wood would look like in contrast to the fuzzy carpet, because it does seem like that would lock us in to that look, especially as it's used in other areas of the building.
Well, we'd probably have in the sanctuary, we'd have sheetrock. Zoom in again.
Yeah.
These surfaces would be sheetrock behind the stage, and on this side here, there'd probably be the ceiling would be sheetrock. I think it's an acoustic treatment more than primarily to have carpet on the walls, and then the battens are breaking up the sound. I could see where you might have some hardware on it that you could hang a tapestry so that you're not driving in, but you can heal wood too if you drove a nail or put a screw in it or whatever. But I think you might be able to envision a tapestry on these surfaces becoming a feature that could be placed during special events. It might be reused rather than could be for Christmas. You might commission someone to make a quilt that would hang there or something. But we can render that look of what we're envisioning. It wouldn't be fuzzy. It'd probably be a low pile carpet, so it's just more of a soft treatment, a soft surface, and then we stagger the joints. But the vertical joints would be covered by the wood, the battens on the surface. But I think the last thing we want to show you is a 3D model of the sanctuary. I think we're going to share the screen with Kat. Maybe that would be a good time to do that now, Kat.
Yeah, you'll have to quit sharing.
Okay.
Just
New share? No. How do I quit sharing?
It's gonna be at the bottom of your Zoom window.
Uh-huh. You're
Bottom
sharing your
center, I
screen.
just
Stop share. There we go. Okay.
There you go. I will share my screen with you. Desktop too. So can y'all see my screen?
Yeah, we can see that.
All right, and so what we're looking at here is up at the top, we're looking towards the stage, obviously, and back towards that window. And then down here at the bottom, I'm looking back out towards the pathway into the rest of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see this area would have your table, maybe some shelving storage for your AV equipment. It's kind of cut out the batten wall back here.
Yeah. We'd probably have
And I
some
can-
cove lights here or recessed lights here. We're not showing any ceiling features here, but the main goal of this 3D model is just to show you the new configuration of the walls in the sanctuary.
That looks
And
good.
something that we may do further down the line is develop renderings that really show you texture of everything, and we'll have gone through like finish selection so we have a better idea of colors and textures for carpet, both in the batten wall along the back, but also what kind of carpeting we're selecting for the stage and for the room itself. So these are all sort of towards an idea that we're moving
Placeholder
forward.
colors, yeah.
That's good. Well, Andrew, Kat, are there anything else that y'all have to show us? I wanted to make sure we're respecting everybody's time too, and y'all.
Oh, that's everything on the visual side. And of course, there's the spreadsheet of the budget, which has the scope of work. I think you know, if we're gonna cut it short here, or you could distribute that document, and people could, you could assemble questions and send them to us.
Well, let me speak to that real fast about the budget.
Mhm.
The good news is, actually, can I grab the screen back from you, Kat?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Let me stop my share. There you go.
Awesome. I'm going to open just one of our most recent weekly financial reports, just so all the church members can kind of see where we have money. The costs of the renovations. Hang on, I haven't shared my screen yet, have I? So let me do that. So here we go. This is our balance sheet for the church, and so we have money in various places, and basically between what's happening with repairing Annex C, and which is not something Metal Lab is involved in. This is just, we have another contractor doing some repairs out in Annex C, and then we have the renovations. We need a little over $100,000 to do all of these things. And we have $60,000 from our new building fund. The people who gave that have given permission to utilize that money towards the renovation. So we have $60,000 off the top there. We have another $10,000 available in our capital fund that's available to be used for these things as well. And then we have a general fund balance of $30,000, which is basically some surplus left over from last year and surplus that we've accrued this year by God's grace. And so we already have the funds set for all of this work to get done, which is pretty awesome. It gives Annex C a good makeover and makes it less of a death trap for people, which is fantastic. And then it also gives us the chance to update our sanctuary with funds that already exist. The thing that we're gonna need your help with, as y'all are looking forward into the costs, is by our constitution, we want to make sure that our church family gives us permission to reallocate the general fund balance, that surplus. We need to ask y'all's permission to use that for renovations. The other funds are already available and can be used for the renovations, but when you vote for the budget, we're also going to be voting if you would affirm or deny the ability to use our general fund balance for the renovations. And so that's where the money's coming from there. And that gets us basically where we need to go. But I wanted to, so it's 8:34. We're 4 minutes over, but before we move on, is there any other questions about that?
I do have a question. The general fund balance that you're saying you could utilize for part of this, can it patch the entrance to the driveway now? Can that be included to the first driveway?
First driveway? I mean, we could probably.
The South Drive.
Yeah, the South Drive. Yeah, it's just kind of in rough shape, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
No, it's in terrible shape.
Yeah, that's a good thought. We hadn't actually considered that as being part of the scope of this project, but I agree that it's a problem, and we can definitely, we might be able to do that in addition to all this other stuff. So
I think it sets a negative tone for someone that's coming to our church for the first time.
yeah, their first exposure is yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Let's get any other questions? I got a thumbs up from Steven. He figured out how to do that. You just can't raise your hands, huh?
It's totally not there. Like I was looking for it. There's no, I can't raise my hand. I can thumbs up all day long. So if I need to say anything, I don't need to say anything. I don't know why I'm talking. Thank you guys for the presentation. I thought it was awesome. Appreciate the work you put into it.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, guys, thanks for making this a part of y'all's evening, and I really appreciate the chance to share some of these things with you. And you know, honestly, there are some hopes and dreams and goals that we have as your pastors. I mean, I spent before my whole family caught COVID, we did an elders retreat, and the elders just talked about and prayed about what God might be leading us towards over the next decade. And so we had just some really good conversations and some really exciting thoughts. And we're going to be prayerfully and humbly, like openly asking the church to consider where God's leading us. And this connects to our hopes for the next decade. In some really beautiful ways. But again, this is, God gets to write the future, right? We just want to make some plans to be stewards of what he's given us. And so this is our hope, and these are our first steps that we can see in front of us. And I'm thankful for the chance to share this stuff with you. So thanks for being on the call. And as always, we're really open. If you want to email me or Jason or anybody with any questions, this is just the first chance to see these things. We're going to be talking about this stuff for a long time. Okay.
Good.
Thanks for inviting us.
Absolutely. Let me pray for us and then I'll let you guys go. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Father, thank you for the chance to talk through our plans. God, you said in your word that many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will be established. And so, Lord, we have plans. We have lots of plans, but we know at the end of the day, what you want done will be done. And so, Lord, we submit these things to you. We ask you to establish the work of our hands. God, make our ministry fruitful. God, we don't want to be distracted by places and forget about people, but we want to use our places to love people. And so, Lord, I pray that as we think about these things, God, that we would remember that making disciples, loving our neighbors, honoring and glorifying you, God, this is what we were born for. And so help us to make that our highest aim, your glory and the love of our neighbors. Lord, we love you. We thank you for this time. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Absolutely. It's good to see all of you. Thanks for contributing. All right.
Glad you're feeling
Bye.
Thank you.